Something extraordinary is unfolding right now in global politics, and most people haven't even noticed it yet. Canada, yes, Canada, is quietly pulling off one of the boldest geopolitical maneuvers we've seen in decades. And the wild part? It's happening right under Donald Trump's nose. Prime Minister Mark Carney is standing in New York speaking openly about a trip he made to Beijing earlier this year. He's not spinning it. He's not hiding behind diplomatic double talk. He's saying, flat out, yes, the relationship with China got icy. Yes, there were tariffs crushing our farmers. And yes, he flew to Beijing anyway and sat down and actually listened. That takes guts. And what happened next is where things get really interesting. While Carney was in New York making those remarks, a plane was touching down in Ottawa carrying Wang Yi, China's top diplomat. Now, you might not realize why that's a massive deal, but let me paint the picture. It has been more than a decade since a Chinese foreign minister set foot in Canada, over 10 years. And here he is, landing in Ottawa, right on the heels of the largest Indian trade delegation Canada has ever hosted. 150 businesses, led by India's industry and trade ministers. None of this is coincidence. This is choreography, deliberate, calculated, and brilliantly timed. Canada is sending a message to the world, to Beijing, and very much to Washington, that it has options, and it is exercising them. Here's the part that really makes you stop and think. This visit from China isn't just about canola exports or electric vehicle agreements. It's about something much deeper. Beijing is watching what's happening south of the border, a White House slapping tariffs on allies, treating trade partners like adversaries, demanding an entry fee just to have a conversation. And China sees an opening. If they can deepen ties with Canada, they create a wedge. They pull a little daylight between Ottawa and Washington. It's tactically smart on their part. Whether you admire it or not, you have to acknowledge it's a sophisticated play. And Carney isn't blind to any of this. He said so himself. He acknowledged that re-engaging China comes with real structural headaches. He knows the risks. He watched what happened when other countries got too close without clear guardrails. But here's where his thinking gets genuinely interesting. He pointed out something most politicians never say out loud. China produces roughly 40% of the world's manufactured goods, but only consumes around 16% of global demand. That imbalance doesn't stay contained. It spills outward, reshapes markets, and creates pressure that every country eventually has to respond to. Carney sees it, names it, and is positioning Canada accordingly. So what exactly is Canada doing here? The strategy has a name in political science circles: triangulation. Instead of choosing between Washington and Beijing, Canada is planting itself confidently in the middle. Carney is pushing for stronger North American cooperation on steel and aluminum while simultaneously opening a door to China. He's keeping the relationship with the U.S. alive while making crystal clear that Canada isn't a dependent, it's a partner. There's a big difference between those two things, and for the first time in a long time, Ottawa is insisting on being treated like one. But diplomacy without backbone is just talk, right? So here's the moment that really proves Canada means business. A Canadian warship recently sailed through the Taiwan Strait, a passage that sits directly in the crosshairs of Beijing's most sensitive territorial anxieties. China was not pleased, but Canada did it anyway. And the message was unmistakable. Canada will trade with you. Canada will talk with you. But Canada will not let you dictate its foreign policy. The ship in the strait was essentially Ottawa saying, "Our position on Taiwan is set in Ottawa, not in Beijing, and definitely not by anyone in Washington either." That's principled pragmatism in action. It's not naive idealism, and it's not cynical transactionalism. It's Canada drawing clear lines while keeping doors open, which is genuinely difficult to do and, frankly, not something many countries manage well. Now, the chessboard gets even more complicated when you factor in India. That enormous 150 business trade delegation was impressive by any measure, a real signal of economic ambition between two massive democracies. But then the Indian High Commissioner walked into a media interview and suggested that Canadian intelligence and security services might be compromised by Sikh activists. A diplomat from a country we're actively pursuing a major trade partnership with is publicly questioning whether Canada controls its own security apparatus. That is extraordinary and deeply uncomfortable. It's a reminder that Canada isn't just navigating a triangle here, it's navigating a much messier polygon. Because it's not just China and Trump that Ottawa has to balance. Canada's own intelligence agency, CSIS, recently flagged China, India, Iran, and Russia as active foreign interference threats operating inside Canada. So we're trying to open trade doors with countries that are simultaneously trying to compromise our institutions. How do you manage that? How do you shake hands on an export deal with one hand while the other hand is fending off interference operations? Prime Minister Carney's instinct is quiet diplomacy. Handle the sensitive stuff behind closed doors. Keep the tone calm. Don't let it spill into headlines. And look, there is genuine merit in that approach. Not every difficult conversation needs to be a press conference. But here's the tension. Canada is a democracy. And in a democracy, citizens deserve to know where the lines are drawn. The Sikh community deserves clarity. The Tamil community deserves clarity. Every Canadian community that has been impacted by foreign interference deserves to hear, loudly and clearly, that their safety isn't being traded away for a few export contracts. This is the question that doesn't have a clean answer yet. When Chinese companies show up to Canada's major investment summit later this year, and they will, which sectors are open? Which are off-limits? Where does national security override economic interest? Canadian businesses and provinces are desperate for that clarity, and right now, they're not getting it in plain language. Walking that line between engagement and self-protection, between trade and sovereignty, is genuinely the defining foreign policy challenge of this era. And Canada is right at the center of it, whether it wanted to be or not. What makes this moment feel so different from past Canadian foreign policy is the confidence. There's no apology in Carney's posture. He isn't sheepishly asking permission from Washington before he takes meetings. He isn't pretending the China relationship doesn't exist. He's standing up in New York and saying, here is what Canada is doing, here is why, and here is how we think about the risks. That's a new energy coming out of Ottawa. And honestly, it's long overdue. Trump didn't see this coming. He assumed Canada would stay in its lane, absorb the tariff hits, and keep quietly depending on American markets. Instead, Canada responded by diversifying faster than anyone expected. India, China, Europe. The outreach has been deliberate and aggressive in the best possible way. The world is watching a middle power find its voice, and that voice is saying, we are not choosing between your camps. We are building our own position. Come to the table ready to deal fairly, or we'll find someone who will. Mark Carney is juggling Trump, Xi Jinping, and Modi all at once, and so far he hasn't dropped any of the balls. That's either political genius or the most stressful job on earth. Probably both. So that's the picture. Bold, messy, high stakes, and genuinely fascinating. I'd love to know what you think about all of this. Do you think Canada is playing this right? Or is the balancing act too risky? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you want more breakdowns like this one, real analysis, no fluff, just the stuff that actually matters, hit the like button and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.